Hey everybody, I'm out here on some state property. I'm gonna go out and check out a couple of spots that we've hunted before. I'm supposed to have a pretty big rainstorm coming tonight, so I'm not actually gonna sit and hunt anywhere. But I'm gonna go out and check out a couple of the spots that we usually hunt and see if there's any buck activity. Haven't checked them out this year since season opened, so I like to do a little bit of in-season scouting sometimes, just to see what spots are looking good. And especially if there's a big rainstorm, it's pretty windy. There's probably a nice steady 10 to 15 mile an hour wind right now. But I like to scout before a rainstorm if I'm in season, because if I do find some good sign, the hopes are that the rain will wash all of my sins away. So got a couple spots I'm gonna check out, and I'll show you guys why we're setting up in these spots. So stick with me. Somebody's got a nice rifle blind there. You gotta love hunting the state land in Michigan. Well guys, as you can see, this is pretty densely forested. A lot of popple trees, a lot of maple, but there's a group of oaks right here, straight out in front of me, and also a couple of smaller ones off here to the left. And there's usually a lot of scrapes in this area. It's kind of a high spot in the woods here, and we actually hunt right back over here. There's a big marsh out here, and I'll show you guys a better view hopefully once I get up that way. But what we try to do is, there's a couple of points out here that the deer bed on, so we try to catch them coming up into these woods up to hit these oaks. Alright guys, I made it out here to the tree. This is the tree here that we've got set up for this spot. As you can see out here, there's a giant marsh right out here, and goes all the way around. And this woodlot, little finger right here, this woodlot comes out, tapers out, and goes out here. And there's a lot of beds out there on that point. There's also another smaller one right here. This is the spot that Tommy Two-Tone killed his buck out of 2 years ago. I think it was his biggest buck yet. But I'm gonna climb up here and give you guys a better view of what we're looking at when we're up in the tree. So guys, here's the view from up here. As you can see, that finger goes out in there. It's real thick. A couple small trees, but there's a main runway that comes off it. I hope you can see it right there in the middle of the screen. That's the main vein that comes off that little point. But you can see the marsh out here, guys. It's huge. It's real wet. There's a bunch of beaver dams out there. And last year, or 2 years ago, Tommy and I were set up here, and we had a south wind that day, so the wind was blowing this way, and the buck he shot came from back over here. There's another little finger right out here. We think he was bedded on that. But I looked over and he was coming right through this marsh grass right on the edge. And when he got over here, he was stopped right in the middle of that gap of those branches, and Tommy shot him. So it was real windy, and he was heading with the wind. So if anybody ever tells you that deer don't move in the wind, or that they always go with their nose to the wind, that's not true at all, because his buck came right from the south of us, and the wind was blowing out of the south that day. But this is another one of them spots, guys, where you get right on these edges and these little fingers that jut out into these marshes and swamps, and you can catch some good deer coming off them, coming up into the woods to feed on acorns and go to crop fields. Well, guys, I just got out of there. It was a pretty productive visit, I think. I didn't see much for buck sign, but there usually isn't much buck sign there. There wasn't any buck sign the year that Tommy killed his deer, so there was a bunch of good trails. There wasn't much for acorns, but coming out, when I was coming back out, I did bump a couple of does. They weren't there when I went in, because I walked right pretty much the same path in and out, but the wind was really bad. It's been 15-20 miles an hour wind. I mean, I had to get out of there. That was the other reason I had to get out of there, was because it's getting dark and this rainstorm's coming, and I wanted to get over and check out another spot. So I might sit there coming up here in the next week or two, see what comes through. I know there's deer out on that point, because that main trail coming off of there is real beat down, and there's a bunch of trails in the woods coming from there. So might be worth a sit just to see what comes through. And I'm making my way to my next spot, so you guys hang with me, and we'll see you in a minute. Well, guys, I made it about 100 yards away from the car, and it just started downpouring around me. So with the rain and coupled with the wind, I don't think it would have been very good footage for you guys. So I actually turned around and just came right back to the car, because I really wasn't liking what I was seeing anyway. That spot that I wanted to check out, that second one there, was a real good spot 2 years ago. Basically what it was a big marsh with an island in the middle, and then it was all totally surrounded by hardwoods, and I saw a lot of deer there, so I was pretty excited to get in there and see what kind of sign was there. But that clear cut, you know, like I said before, you gotta love state land. So but coming out of there, I actually found another piece that I didn't even know. It was a little couple miles down the road, but I saw a couple deer out in the woods alongside the road, and I stopped and was watching them, and I pulled up my Onyx and looked, and there was actually that was actually public land, and right directly across the street from it is a big bean field, and there were just highways coming out of those woods right there to the west. And so I did a little more looking on my Onyx, and about 500-600 yards kind of to the northwest of that woodlot was another big marsh, and it's got a couple points out there on it, and so that's definitely a place I'm gonna go check out again, see what's coming through there, because there was trails like crazy, and it looked like a really good setup. The woods got thick back past that open woods by the road there, and so I'm gonna probably go back in there and check that out. But the common theme here, guys, if all three of these spots that I'm talking about, they've all got water. If you guys can get towards water of some sort, whether it's a marsh or a swamp or a river, creek bottom, it seems like the deer just gravitate towards water. So that's naturally what we all should be gravitating towards as well. It seems like that's where they go to hide. That's where they get away from the rest of the predators, and they just know people and other predators aren't going to make that trek out there. So if you guys can find water, especially like marshes and thick swamps with a lot of heavy cover around them, and get on them points, or just on the edges, even just on the transitions from that marsh. Like I was saying about Tommy's buck, he walked right along that marsh grass, right along that wood line, and so the water spots are definitely spots for you guys to look for. Don't just set up in open woods. Like, you don't have to go a mile deep or 2 miles. I mean, sometimes the spots like that second spot I was going to show you guys, that marsh is only about 200 yards off the road, and it was full of deer. So even that marsh in the last weekend's video, opening weekend video, that marsh, that second hunt we went on, that marsh was actually, the front side of it is about probably 75 yards off the road, and there's a little island out there that I kicked some deer up on last year. So but anyway, the point is that you guys don't have to go deep. Sometimes there's just those overlooked spots, like the one that I found today. There's just a little sliver right by the road of public land, and I've looked at that area 100 times, and I never even paid attention to it until I saw those deer, looked across, there was beans, and I'm like, huh, this is awesome, you know. So something for you guys to remember. I hope that helps. I hope this video gave you guys some tips, you know, made you think a little bit. I'm hoping to get back in the woods here. I've been a little busy with processing that doe and making the videos for that. So we'll get you guys some hunting footage here soon. So I hope you guys got value out of this video, and like, subscribe, share with your friends. Good luck to you all out there in the woods. Shoot straight, and we'll see you guys all in the next video.